have Jim talk about the art of gathering.
Sounds. Let me get the screen share going here, and you should be able to see. So, as Gretchen said, this is the art of gathering. It's a book based, written by Priya Parker. Move windows out of the way here so I can see. There we go. And it's all about enhancing your actual Rotary experience as a presidential year. So, there's the art of gathering. It's a book. It's an easy read. It's an easy listen as an audiobook. I highly recommend it for listening, not just for Rotary presidential year. You can enhance it in all kinds of places in your life. Use it even when you have gatherings at your house to make your gatherings at your house more meaningful, more relatable. So the art of gathering centers on 5 real central things: purposeful planning, inclusive invitations, meaningful structures, authentic connections, and memorable evenings. So if you take 2 things at all from this, I want you to remember these 2 things. It is your Rotary year, and you can do whatever you want with it as long as your board approves. And for far too long, we've basically looked at Rotary as a chance to have meetings and meet people instead of being a place where we inspire people to take action to go do good in the world. And so we need to transform that. And this helps you get to that real easily. So purposeful planning, that is basically you have your meeting, and every meeting you have, doesn't matter, meetings, social events, service projects, whatever else your Rotary Club is doing, make sure the purpose is clear and you understand the purpose for that meeting. So when you come in that day, make sure you look over and say, okay, this is what I'm trying to inspire people to do. I'm not just having them come in and listening to a speaker. I want to maybe get people to that next event. So although, yes, the speaker's coming, my purpose for the meeting today is to make sure I'm getting people to that event and to go and get people inspired to show up and do that. Priya Parker best defines this when she says she had a friend, and a friend wanted to have a meeting with her and just a dinner. And so Priya says, well, why are we having this dinner? She said, well, I'm recently single and I just want to have somebody that I can go to and maybe talk with. So, okay, Priya Parker says that's a great purpose for this meeting. Pretty soon this group grew, and pretty soon they had all kinds of women meeting with this purpose of just uplifting themselves, supporting each other, and making them feel good, even though they were single and all looking for something else in this world. So make sure you have purpose in every single thing you do. Same thing with your fundraisers. If you're having a fundraiser, again, it's kind of like what they put up yesterday. You have the spaghetti meatball plate, but that doesn't explain the purpose of why you're gathering there. Make sure the people there understand the purpose. Where are their funds going to? Make sure they understand their funds are going to a good cause. And this is the cause. Don't just have the fundraiser and expect people to like, well, I'm here, I should probably donate X or Y. We move on to inclusive invitations here. Inclusive invitations are who should be at your table. So now I bring up DEI, which has come to be a very, very bad term in today's society, but it doesn't have to be. A lot of people look at diversity, equity, inclusion, and they think, oh no, they're just trying to get people of different color in the meetings or different races in the meetings. Everything else has nothing to do with that. Look at your group, your Rotary Club, and make sure it's representative of your community. Look to see, do you have financial differences in your club? Do you have people that are on the high end of the spectrum of finance and people that are making it and just getting by? Maybe you need to have some fun in your club or something different where you have people on the high end that want to bring people in that can't afford to join a Rotary Club. And so they sponsor them and they can afford. They're getting a point in their life where like, I want to make a difference. You know what? I could probably make a real difference in someone's life by just bringing them in this club. And it's the easiest thing I can do is just pay their dues on a yearly basis until they get to that point where they're like, wow, this is very important to me. I want to take over paying my dues on my own. Another thing with that is looking at your job categories. Rotary used to have this thing of the one job per person in the club. They took that away, but it doesn't take away from needing to have people in white collar, people in blue collar, people in service organizations. A lot of clubs lack people of religious orders, and a lot of clubs lack people of the healthcare, primarily because it's hard for people in healthcare to get there. But if you reach out and purposefully invite them and then work around their schedule to make sure they still feel included and part of your club, I bet they would still join and participate where they can and show up when they can to the meetings. It's also, who are you not inviting? So I roll back to Priya Parker's example. This group of women have been meeting and having dinner and they're loving it. One of them meets somebody. She starts dating this person, starts getting a little more serious. Finally, one lady in the club raises her hand and says, I'm sorry to bring this up, but I don't think Sally belongs here anymore. Of course, Sally was there. She's kind of offended, but having Sally there was taking away from the purpose of the club. So the purpose was to have single women that are uplifting each other. Suddenly you have Sally who's dating someone, no longer single. She doesn't fit. Now, they did let Sally go, but they told her if that relationship should end, she will always be welcome back in and she can come back into the fold. Same thing, if you have club members that are causing problems or club members that refuse to change and won't do things differently because that's not how we did it in the past, it might be a time to talk to them and explain, hey, we're trying to build our club and bring in new members, so we're changing these things. If they say, well, I'm going to quit Rotary, although you're losing that member, it might not be a bad thing in the long run because it's no longer achieving the purpose of your club and the purpose of what you're trying to do, which is create this warm, welcoming environment where people want to come and people want to be there. Meaningful structures. So make sure your events flow. Make sure they have a logical thing, but don't just stick to the old thing. Michael's on this call. And he has my favorite story is that he said when he took over his club as president, comes in on his first day, he could see everybody sitting in their normal spaces, looking around the room. Where's our president? Because president is up front. And they're sitting there looking around. You can see people getting agitated. Suddenly, ding, he rings the bell. He started the meeting from the back of the room. It was something just to shake things up. It caused some anxiety. It caused some energy. It was fun. But it was a different way of doing things, causing people to think differently. And instantly, you have a different structure. You want to look at how you're running things in your club and make sure that is a meaningful thing, what you're doing. If you're having committee meetings just for the sake of having committee meetings and all it is people getting together and not much is getting done, you might want to re-examine that to make sure that's still meaningful in that experience. Another example is at my own club, we had the same thing, and I think most Rotary clubs do. You have a certain group of people that always sit in the same spot. I think yesterday someone said someone had sat in the spot for 40 years. Came into the club one day, and there's the president standing there. And you walk in, and she's smiling, she's greeting you, and everybody's like, oh, that's really nice. You know, Jeannie's up here greeting us as we come in. And then she says, yes, now stick your hand in this bucket, pull out a piece of paper. So you pull out this piece of paper, we all look at it, it has a number written on it. And then you look up and you look at the tables and you notice that the tables all have a corresponding number. So everybody just went and sat wherever that was. It shook up everything. It allowed it to have a meaningful structure. And then beyond that, it wasn't just the fact of her sitting people in different places. That meeting that day was another bucket on the table. And on that bucket was just another thing of questions. And each person was supposed to basically pick up a question, read the question, answer the question. Others around the table answer the question, move on. Everybody gets a voice and goes along like that. So the meaningful structure there was to shake things up, get the club more interacted, more people knowing each other, more people knowing something a little bit more than how's your day going or how's your week been going. So make sure you have that meaningful structure. Authentic connections. A lot of people join Rotary, and if you ask them why, well, they wanted to meet people. They wanted to go and do things at different places. They want to have those authentic connections. They want to network. Unfortunately, a lot of clubs and a lot of meetings, that time gets shorter and shorter because of course, you're packing in. At our own club, We start off, we have the beginning of the meeting. We have junior Rotarians. Usually they give a little talk. We have the speaker. We have the golden marble and happy dollars. So by the time you whittle all that down, you end up with very little time. And I laugh because I see that every president, every year, there's one member of our club that will usually write in the secretary and say, hey, you need to ask the president and tell him we'd like some time to socialize. So it's an important thing to put that space in for socialization. But more importantly, you also need to make sure all of the members of your club feel valued and that they have a voice. An easy way to do that, and I did it my year, was I went around, I'd start the meeting, and then everybody, they were surprised the first couple times, but once they got used to it, they knew it was coming. I would pick a random person in the room that I had not talked to before, and I would tell them, tell something to all these club members that they don't know about you. We learned that one person in our club was in the back of a limousine with Bill and Hillary Clinton, and they may or may not have inhaled. We learned that one person got to ride with the general manager of the New York Yankees on the way to somewhere in New York in a cab just because he happened to jump in the cab with her. We learned that someone actually got married in the island off the US. They didn't realize they weren't really married. They happened to be in a bar, and so they got married in the bar because the person running the bar happened to be a licensed minister as well. So we found out all these things about people, but most importantly, I made sure I gave that mic to people that usually don't speak up in meetings. So now I'm giving them a voice. I'm giving them something interesting to talk about. And then suddenly others are talking to them. And we started finding out that these people that were kind of quiet in the meetings and showing up and wanting to be part, but didn't know quite how to do that, suddenly they're given a voice and they're allowed to come in. So it's very important that make sure you include people in your club. Don't let just certain people talk during the meeting. Always try and get others talking. Memorable endings. This is a huge one. So Priya Parker says the biggest failure in most things, most parties and events, is it just kind of dies off and it goes, and at some point people look over and it just ends and goes. But she says, no, make sure you leave it memorable and leave something that they experience it. So make sure you have a start and end time. Make sure when that end time happens that you're leaving it with energy and gusto, so people understand and they're happy and they remember things. Applying this in your club is the easiest thing to do. And this year, our club president really took this to heart. At the end of every meeting, he will say, I'm so glad you guys came today. I hope you're energized and you got something out of this. I hope to see you on Thursday when we're having our social, or I hope to see you this weekend at the service project we're doing. I really hope to see you next week when we're having this speaker coming in. It's going to be really interesting. They're talking about ghosts at the Capitol. And so it fires people up. It gets them energized. They get that teaser of what's coming up. They feel wanted by that person. The other thing I really stress here is that your year's going to go by very quickly. And yes, you're going to have a lot of emails and a lot of things to go on back and forth. And I always say it's only really hard if you make it really hard. Your attitude chooses everything. And most importantly, I have been part of our club where we had a president that stood up and they started doing a countdown about 2 months. Oh, I only got 2 months to go. That's how they're ending the meeting. Oh, or even starting the meeting. I only got a month and a half to go, only 3 more meetings. So tell me how easy it would be to find a president for that club to run the next one and be excited and not think, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into? This is so horrible. This person's counting down the days until they're done being Rotary president. No, you want people to think that and know. And I firmly believe being Rotary president was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Make it joyful all the way right up till the end. People will remember you. They will remember you as being a very joyful, energy-filled president. So make sure you do that all the way through your presidency and give that last meeting in June or the handoff meeting in July, if that's how your club does it, a very good and energy-filled experience, and explain all the fun and all the joy you had and show them all the club achieved during that time. So again, maximize your member value. If you have purpose, you want to make sure that the time investment. So make sure the Rotarians are getting what they feel for their time. Again, Rotary is not a cheap. You can go and do good deeds without paying any dues. So make sure the Rotary, your membership feels like their dues and their contributions are well utilized. Personal growth. Again, that leads back to getting and networking. I think those are hand in hand. Getting those back to getting experienced people talking with the inexperienced people. Therefore, they're sharing those skills. They're getting those leadership things. And then the impact. Make sure your club is making an impact. And all of these things tie back to having that warm, inviting, and energy-filled environment. And all these things will just happen naturally. So again, transforming Rotary through the art of gathering. I highly recommend getting the book. You'll understand it much better than 15 minutes can explain. So purposeful planning, inclusive invitations, meaningful structures, authentic connections, and memorable endings.